Alrighty, people, Viva Frei, something of an impromptu vlog or an emergency vlog. I'm down in Orlando, or up in Orlando, because Robert Barnes was speaking at George Gammon's Rebel Capitalist Conference. It's amazing. Walking around, meeting people, talking to people. I did an interview with Ivor Cummins, an Irishman who I think we share some of the same politics and views on certain issues such as COVID, globalism, etc. And I'm down here. I wasn't a speaker. I came down to meet some people and have some fun. Took a kid. We're having fun. As I'm down here, I see a tweet, or at the very least I should say, Eric Hunley, Untold Stories, America's Untold Stories, Laid Back Law, sends me a tweet and says, have you heard about this? It looks like Alex Jones, InfoWars, is getting shut down. And it's a link to a tweet. I go to the tweet. I read the tweet. I say, holy crab apples. I need to contact someone to see if this tweet is accurate. I contact someone, they see this tweet is accurate, and then there was a Twitter space put on by Alex Jones, which lasted hours. I spoke in it, and it looks like, in the context of the bankruptcy proceedings in Texas, Alex Jones is doing business out of Texas, InfoWars, out of Texas. The CRO, which is the court restructuring officer, in the context of a bankruptcy, it might be something like a trustee as far as I understand in bankruptcy law. The CRO apparently showed up to InfoWars to lock the place down, to shut the place down, and apparently in the absence of a court order. Now I contact my contacts and I say, is this tweet accurate? And the answer I get is yes. And then we go on a Twitter space and we talk about it for hours. I spoke for a few minutes and I listened to it for a very long time. And it would seem that the CRO, the court restructuring officer, in the context of the bankruptcy, because InfoWars has been put into bankruptcy proceedings as a result of the lawfare waged against it, both in Connecticut and in Texas, has been placed in bankruptcy proceedings or filed for bankruptcy protection, and is under some sort of court-appointed officer to see to the restructuring or the operations of the business to make sure that the business doesn't act in a way that defrauds the litigious or other creditors of the business. Okay, it seems that this is all entirely accurate. The CRO, whose name is McGill, not McGill like M-C-G-I-L-L, but McGill like M-A-G-I-L-L, the court restructuring officer, who from what I understand is being paid $50,000 a month. I might be wrong on that. I reserve the right to be wrong on that, but that's what I believe I understood it from the Alex Jones, InfoWars, Owen Schroyer Twitter space today, has apparently not only acted in such a manner to cause the shutting down of InfoWars, but from what Alex Jones has been testifying to, or at least testifying to informally, explaining in the Twitter space, that CRO has been acting in a way suspicious, as though to entrap Alex Jones, as if to say, and this is what Alex Jones says that he's got recordings of and is very, very confident, adamant, and vocal about, that the CRO has been acting in such a way to obviously and maliciously entrap Alex Jones to facilitate the shutting down of InfoWars. Apparently, from what I understand, the CRO approached Alex Jones, and in addition to frustrating certain contracts for sponsorships, which would be good for InfoWars, and thus good for the temporary, if only for the time being, creditors of InfoWars, that being the judgment creditors of InfoWars, who are owed $1.5 billion in damages. Understand this, I guess we'll open up a parenthesis. The families of the Sandy Hook victims who sued Alex Jones for intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation, etc., they got an award, not after a judgment on the merits, because Alex Jones was defaulted into liability. He had a default verdict into liability. So by the time Alex Jones had that kangaroo court show trial out of Texas, he was defaulted into liability. And the only trial that we saw was on the quantum of the damages, because he had been defaulted into a finding of civil liability. Now understand this, because this is unique, and I have not yet heard an adequate explanation for how it happens. Occasionally, you can get a very, very nefarious defendant in a case who's acting so badly that they frustrate the plaintiff's ability to even pursue the case. I'm not saying that that's what Alex Jones did in this case, InfoWars, because they didn't, because I know the details of this case. But occasionally it happens. You would, at worst, in the utmost of worst circumstances, get a finding that the defendant is foreclosed from pleading, foreclosed from defending. You would still have to have the plaintiffs prove their case, because the hypothetical is The plaintiff sues a defendant. The defendant is the most malicious idiot on earth, destroys evidence, frustrates discovery, etc., etc. But hypothetically, the contract in virtue of which the plaintiff sues is expired, time-lapsed, beyond the statute of limitations. It doesn't matter how badly the defendant acted. If the plaintiff has no case as a matter of fact and law, they still need to prove it, and a judge still needs to hear it. And if the plaintiff is suing in virtue of a contract that is 25 years old, it doesn't matter how bad the defendant's acting. He can be foreclosed from defending, but the plaintiff still needs to prove the elements of their case. In Alex Jones and the Texas case, that didn't happen. It's not just that Alex Jones was so wrong in his discovery obligations, which I still disagree with, but whatever. It's not just that Alex Jones was deemed to be in such default of his discovery obligations that he was foreclosed from defending. The judge said, guilty. You get a finding of liability. You don't even have to prove your case. You don't have to argue about statute of limitations. You don't have to prove that you were not a public figure, a single-purpose public figure, and actual malice didn't apply. They were defaulting Alex Jones into liability, and the plaintiffs never even had to prove their case. I don't know how it happens, because I understand that statute of limitations was an issue. There were legal questions that were an issue as to the plaintiff's case. The judge didn't just default Alex Jones and say you can't defend. They defaulted Alex Jones into a finding of liability, where the plaintiffs didn't even have to prove their case. The only thing they had to prove were the damages based on that jacked up, rigged jury that they had, and that gave him $1.5 billion in damages. Okay, fine. So Jones was defaulted into liability. After a hearing on the quantum, they ordered him to pay $1.96 billion in damages. The InfoWars corporations, whichever ones they are, went into receivership, bankruptcy protection, because nobody's got that money, and they've been under bankruptcy protection for a little while now. When you're under bankruptcy protection, whoever is the trustee, or maybe it's the CRO under this jurisdiction, has to act in the best interest of the people who are owed money by this debtor. And the way that you do that is not by putting them out of business. It's by making sure that they are fruitful and they make money so that they can make money to pay off the debtors that they owe money to, even if it's in virtue of a totally rigged kangaroo court quantum of $1 billion. Ordinarily, if you had watched that Texas court sham of a trial, you would have heard the lawyers say, we want to shut Alex Jones up. We don't want to collect money so that we can actually pay off these plaintiffs. We want to shut Alex up. It's not about righting the alleged damages caused to the alleged plaintiffs. It's about shutting Alex Jones up. That's what they said. Now, as a pure matter of fact, what ended up happening is the company goes into receivership and it still conducts business because it's still profitable. Whether you like it or not, InfoWars is wildly profitable. They sell supplements. They sell advertising. They have a wildly popular show, which is why they are a target. The trustee, CRO, whatever you want to call it, who now has court-appointed trusteeship of InfoWars, is not acting in a way to maximize the profits of InfoWars, but is now seemingly acting in a way to shut it down and deny the plaintiffs the monies that they are owed to them, or the likelihood of receiving those monies, recouping those monies. Because what apparently happened is this guy McGill, the CRO, was trying to frame Alex Jones, saying, hey, Alex, I'm not going to, pursue signing contracts for sponsorships, but you got some. Maybe you just want to pocket that money. Knowing damn well that if Alex says yes to this, well, then they'll shut down InfoWars for committing criminal fraud. Alex Jones is not an idiot. It's not his first time at the rodeo. He knows that they try the same shtick over and over again, and he says no, and apparently he's been recording a lot of this. McGill, the CRO, in addition to trying to criminally frame Alex Jones, it now seems that they came in and tried to shut InfoWars down Friday night. Alex Jones apparently slept over at InfoWars, told his security to not let them in. They don't have a court order to shut down, barricade, lock up InfoWars. And he slept there overnight. And he did a live stream today talking about it. And it seems that they are, in fact, and it would appear to be prima facie, unlawfully, and in violation of their fiduciary duties to the creditors, trying to shut down a profitable enterprise that is InfoWars, in detriment to the people who are owed money. Because they don't care about those people. They don't care about those alleged victims. Their goal was never to right the alleged wrong to the plaintiffs. It was to shut Alex Jones up and to shut InfoWars down. And they're doing this 2 days after Donald Trump was convicted on 34 counts of rubbish, I'm trying not to swear, rubbish felony charges. It's almost as if they either feel empowered by the kangaroo court chicanery coming out of New York, or they feel empowered by the interest that has garnered, that they thought they could get away with this in the shadow of that uprising news, earth-shattering news. It seems that it's one of the two, and it doesn't make a difference which one it is because the outcome is the same. Either because empowered by this kangaroo sham court result out of New York, or in the shadow of it, they apparently went in and tried to shut down Alex Jones' InfoWars. Possibly the most popular, populist voice out there. It's not a coincidence. A lot of people fault Alex Jones, and I'm saying Hillary Clinton right now, the DNC, the Clinton war machine, faults Alex Jones for Donald Trump having gotten elected in the first place. Because in 2016, it is, I think, consensus that Alex Jones played a pivotal role in the awakening, in the social media populist uprising that resulted in Donald Trump getting elected. And a lot of people never forgot it. And a lot of people never forgave. And a lot of people wanted to bring down the holy fire of hell on Alex Jones because they blamed him for it, that being the DNC war machine. And in the time since Donald Trump got elected, by all accounts, a massive part of it was as a result of Alex Jones. Well, then InfoWars faced lawsuit after lawsuit. Commercial stuff, defamation stuff, endless lawsuits. They've been in business for a quarter of a century, never faced a lawsuit or any meaningful lawsuit other than Alex Jones's bitter divorce. Nobody can really get past that when you marry the wrong person. Doesn't matter. No judgment. Hadn't faced any lawsuits until Alex Jones, arguably but not so arguably, aided and abetted in Donald Trump getting elected, and some people have never forgotten that. It's 2024, people. We are 2024. Donald Trump is getting convicted on bogus felony indictments. And 2 days after that, the most populist voice that resulted, arguably but not so arguably, in Donald Trump getting elected in 2016 is now getting shut down unlawfully. They're going to be in court on Monday. But this is what's going on. 2 days after Donald Trump is convicted on 34 felony charges, either empowered by or shrouding in the cloak of, the shadow of, they're trying to shut down Alex Jones. Who knows what's going to happen? I say it's not going to get any better. I don't know if they're going to succeed in shutting down Alex Jones because I think any trustee, any CRO that assists in shutting down the viable enterprise that is making money that would suffice to pay off the judgment creditors is acting in fraud of and against their fiduciary obligation towards the judgment creditors. We'll see what happens. That would be my legal argument. Hashtag not legal advice. What is patently clear is that they're coming after the voices. They're trying to lock Steve Bannon up in jail. 6 months prior to the election, the other most populist voice out there. They're trying to put Steve Bannon in jail for bogus conviction on contempt of congressional subpoenas. They're trying to now shut down InfoWars 6 months out of the 2024 election. And what's going to happen after all of this? We were on the Twitter space talking about, like, how do you deal with this? What do you do? What's the next response? Everyone's like, we mobilize. We get Alex Jones on our respective channels. We give him a bigger voice between all of us. We reach 1 billion people. If Alex Jones reached 100 million people, what's going to happen? They're going to go after the platforms that host Alex Jones. I had one of my segments on InfoWars removed from YouTube because they said it circumvented, at least from my understanding, because they're very opaque in their rules. The argument was that it circumvented the ban on InfoWars because I published my segment on InfoWars. They're going to legislatively or criminally try to find a way to go after Twitter, to go after, I should call it X if I want to get in Elon Musk's good graces. X, there, I've done it, X. They're going to go after X. They're going to find a way legislatively, criminally, or pecuniarily to go after X, to go after Rumble, to go after Musk, to go after Chris Pavlovsky by saying, oh, you guys are rehosting banned content on your platforms? No, no, no. Or they're going to say, oh, you're trying to make money off rehosting Alex Jones on your platforms when he owes creditors, money? We're going to come after you now. Or we're going to pass legislation. They're going to call it the bypassing social media ban account, or they're going to call it the bypassing judgment creditor issues in bankruptcy, whatever. they're going to find a way to go after the voices, go after those who echo those voices, and go after the platforms that allow the echoing of those voices. It's going to happen. This is next level communism. There's no other way to look at it. Okay, people are joking like, Viva, you fled communist Canada just in time to see the communist takeover of America. Truth in jest, people. This is a full Marxist, socialist, communist, totalitarian, authoritarian takeover of what was otherwise the greatest and freest nation on earth. This wonderful experiment of the democracy that is these United States of America, the Constitution of these United States of America, is being turned into globalist toilet paper. They say, hey, oh, nice constitution you have there. Yeah, nice constitution you had there. This is a full socialist, Marxist, whatever you want to call it, takeover. Empowered by, emboldened by, operating under the cloak of darkness by doing this at this very point in time. Not worth noting that while Trump was getting convicted and the world was on fire with that, this communist government, in its attempt to find a way to bypass the next election because they cannot win a free and fair election, they greenlighted the Ukraine to start World War III by incursioning into Russia with U.S. arms as a matter of authorized response. What does that do? That triggers World War III. They will stop at nothing to not lose an election, a free and fair election. They will stop at nothing to rig the election, and they will stop at nothing to not hold that election, even if it means starting World War III so that they, like that Democrat fascist in Ukraine, can suspend elections because it's wartime. This is what's going on, people. How do you fight it? I don't know. Loud, mockery, passive, peaceful, and do not succumb to the provocation. Anybody saying get violent is a Fed provocationist. Anybody committing an act of violence is a false flag, Fed, agent provocateur, or worse. They will take this and they will try to provoke a response. And if they don't get that response, they will manufacture and fabricate their own response so they can manufacture another Jan 6 2.0. This is beyond the pale. That's what's going on. I'm sorry if I went on for too long. 17 minutes and 17 seconds of me. You've seen the sun set behind me. This is what's going on. This is what the free and democratic Western countries are devolving into. Sheer Marxist, communist, authoritarian, totalitarian, kangaroo court, show trial regimes. And there's a way to fight it peacefully with your voice, with mockery on the internets, with mockery, loud and proud. Spread the word, spread the bullhorn, and that's it. Viva Frei, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. I will have Alex Jones on every day of the week, if he so chooses, if they shut down InfoWars. I'm not the biggest voice by any means, but I like to consider myself the loudest, or at the very least, the most obnoxious and the most tenacious. Viva Frei. That's what's happening now. Sunday night show is coming tomorrow, and we're going to talk about it, and if we can get Alex on, we will, and if we can't, we'll get him on at some point throughout next week. We'll see what happens. They're due back in court apparently by Monday. Alex Jones is literally sleeping at InfoWars to make sure that this CRO rogue agent, call him an Agent Smith, does not come in and literally lock the doors, shut down InfoWars, shut down the most populist voice, the biggest, most populist voice. 6 months, we're now 5.5 months out of the November election. It's patently obvious what they're doing. Don't fall for it. Don't fall into the trap. Spread the word. Peace. Booyah.